Hi, we're here at Immersive Studios in Boulder, Colorado, and this is the m906 monitor controller. And this is Mike Grace.
This is the m906 remote control unit. At the top left, we have the input selectors for analog sources, input select for digital sources, individual channel solo mute buttons, volume controls for headphones and control room. And then on this side, we have an LCD monitoring screen that gives you the status of the DAC and the input that's selected. And then various other features for the output section of the 906. The m906 has 5 analog inputs. First is a 5.1 surround input balanced on a DB25. Then a 5.1 unbalanced input on RCA connectors. This is convenient for attaching a consumer SACD or DVD audio player. Then there are 2 generic XLR balanced inputs and a Q input on XLR. On the digital inputs, we have AES 5.1. This is on a DB25 connector. ADAT 5.1 on light pipe. 2-channel AES input on XLR connector. And then another 2-channel AES input, which is channel 7 and 8 from the DB25 connector. SPDIF and TOSLink, and this input can be also the channel 7 and 8 from the ADAT input. Each output channel has its own button in the solo mute row. Pressing a button when in solo mode solos that channel. So here I have the left channel soloed. Now I'm adding the center and right channels to the mix. If I hit the solo mute button, it switches to mute mode, and now the left, center, and right channels are muted, and the rear channels and the sub are still playing. That can be really handy for just spot checking what's in your rear speakers or listening to your mix, without the sub and surrounds. There are 2 level control sections in the m906. The first is the headphone outputs. The headphone jack is on the remote control unit as well. There's another headphone jack on the main audio chassis. The headphone circuitry is the same circuitry found in the M902 reference headphone amplifier. It's extremely precision, high fidelity headphone amplifiers. The control room outputs use the same level attenuator with half dB steps and a 95 dB attenuation range. And the control room outputs have facility for 2 surround speaker systems and an additional stereo speaker system as well. You can also connect stereo speaker systems to the main outputs. The m906 contains a 48-volt phantom-powered mic preamplifier for talkback. You can use any microphone that you want. When you press the talkback button, it feeds the talkback mic signal into the Q circuit and out to the headphones system in your studio. As well, when you press the talkback button, the control room monitors dim, and that dim level is something that can be calibrated. Rather than having to dig around in your equipment rack with a little alignment tool and twist potentiometers, we've built all the calibration into the firmware of the 906. Pressing the cal button on the remote control puts you into calibration mode. At this point, pressing any input select button brings up the calibration offset for that input. So here we are on the balanced 5.1. In real time, I can adjust the level of that input alone, plus and minus 10 dB. This is really handy for matching playback levels for various pieces of equipment that are in your studio. In the output section, the calibration can be applied to both speaker systems. This allows you to adjust for efficiency differences between different loudspeaker models. Simply pressing the cal button and then the speaker select switch allows you to adjust the overall level of each speaker system. While you're calibrating a speaker system, pushing one of the channel solo mute buttons allows you to individually calibrate each speaker in the surround system. This makes it very easy to set your surround speaker and sub levels relative to the rest of your speakers. You can also calibrate the dim level. There's a dim switch here. It can vary anywhere from -5 to -35 decibels. The dim is activated when you press the talkback switch or the dim button. The 906 has a 6-channel digital to analog converter. All of the digital inputs are routed to this converter, and the output of this converter is fed to the volume controls. As well, there is a fixed DAC output. The fixed DAC output allows you to make digital transfers to an analog tape machine, for instance, or go out through analog processing equipment for mastering applications, for instance, and then back to another recorder of some sort. The digital to analog converter's sample clock is recovered from the incoming digital signal using our proprietary S-lock phase lock loop. The S-lock phase lock loop is a crystal-based ultra-low jitter clock circuit that allows for pristine sampling of the incoming digital data, even under adverse jitter conditions on the digital interface. The DACs in the M906 can accept sample rates from 44.1 kilohertz to 192 kilohertz with 24-bit resolution. The clock source for the DACs can be the recovered clock from the AES or ADAT signal, or an external clock such as word clock or super clock. The LCD display is currently displaying that we're on 2-channel AES3 input, and that the input is S-locked. It has a sample rate of 44.1 kilohertz, and the clock source is the recovered clock from the AES line. To pick a different input clock, we hit the cell button, and here we can select word clock, loop sync, which is for a Pro Tools HD system, or super clock. In this row of buttons, we have a mono switch. Mono simply sums the left and right signals together, so primarily used in stereo applications. Dim lowers all of the control room outputs by a prescribed amount. Again, that can be calibrated with the cal function, and the dim attenuation factor can be -5 to -35 dB. Mute turns off all of the control room speakers. The monitor to Q or mon to Q button sends the signal that's being monitored in the control room out the Q output. This button also serves as an alternate function. It can be programmed so that the Q output becomes a third stereo control room monitor output. In that mode, pressing the speaker select switch switches you between your main 1 and 2 speakers, and then pressing the mon to Q selects your third stereo speaker set. The two optional modules for the M906 are an AES loop-through module and a downmix module. The AES loop-through module simply takes the AES signals present on the DB25 input connector and retransmits them back out on the same connector. This allows you to use the M906 to monitor your AES line, but also send those signals on to another device. The optional downmix module allows you to monitor a surround source in stereo. This is used for checking stereo compatibility while doing a surround mix. All of the downmix ratios are adjustable in firmware, and all of the ratios in the Dolby Digital specification can be set in the 906 downmix module. The concept of the M906 was to develop an absolutely pristine, perfectly transparent signal path monitoring controller that would allow you to monitor analog and digital inputs and become the nerve center of your facility, and give you complete confidence that what you're hearing is exactly what's in your source material.
And we'd like to thank Immersive Studios again for letting us shoot this clip here, and thanks for watching.